How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Twilight King and Massive Harem, Part 1. Huge shout out to Namike09 for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Wave Country Forest. Zabuza Momochi, the Kirigakyo no Kijin, Demon of the Mist, and former member of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananin-shu, Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, had a look of glee in his eyes, and that reason was that not too long ago he had captured Copy Ninja, Kakashi Hatake, or also known as Sharingan no Kakashi of the Sharingan, in his Water Jutsu Suiro no Jutsu, Water Prison Technique, and one of his Mizu Bunshin, Water Clone, had struck and injured Kurenai Yuhi in the shoulder with Kubikiri Hocho, decapitating carving knife, leaving their genin squads and the bridge builder Tazuna helpless. Kurenai's team was teammate Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Hinata had fair cream-colored skin with midnight blue waist-length hair with two long bangs on each side of her head. Her eyes appeared to be white with a hint of lavender in them. Her outfit comprises of lavender and cream zip-up sweater with lavender cuffs over a black fishnet collar shirt with navy pants and black-heeled sandals. Kiba, while clearly human, has several physical traits more akin to a feral dog. Like the rest of his clan, he has messy brown hair, sharp black eyes with vertical slit-like pupils, pronounced canine teeth, and nails that he can change into claws. He also has the distinct red fang markings of the Inuzuka clan on his cheeks. Each piece of his outfit, including his forehead protector, was black, with his coat being a nowadays leather form-fitting black jacket. Beside him was a feral-looking white dog named Akamaru who was in his adolescent state. Shino Aburame is sporting the same style as the rest of his clan, consisting of dark sunglasses and a sea-green jacket with a high, upturned collar with what looked like a satchel on his back. They're in their Shippuden outfits and are 15. On Team 7 were Sakura Haruno, Suzuki Uchiha, and Takara Uzumaki Namikaze. Sakura had jade-green eyes and pink shoulder-length hair with two bangs and fair skin. Her outfit consisted of the same basic red top as in, with black gloves, black high-heeled boots, black shorts, short pink apron-like skirt, and pink elbow protectors. Suzuki had a light tan complexion, raven-colored waist-length hair that was tied up into a ponytail, while two bangs fell down over the sides of her face. She was wearing a black sleeveless tank top that hugged her body, which was toned like a kunoichi's from training so much, and wore a pair of black fingerless gloves and a dark gray skirt with biker shorts under them along with a pair of black sandals. Takara had a porcelain complexion, violet eyes, and she had waist-length reddish-orange hair. She wore a red and black jacket with matching pants, and a dark blue tank top under it, and black sandals, and strapped to her back was an injato. Right now said group was trembling in fear due to the fact that their senseis were in a very bad situation, and Zabuza was laughing like a madman. Oh, this is too rich. So much for the Konoha Nin being the strongest of the major villages. You're all talk and no action, and I'm especially disappointed in you, Kakashi Hatake. I expected more from the son of the Konoha Shiroi no Kiba, Konoha's white fang, and student of the Yondaime. He taunted. All of you must run and take Kurenai and the bridge builder with you, Kakashi cried. The Mizu Bunshin can't go far without being near a source of water. Hurry and get out of here. I don't think so, Kakashi, Zabuza said while the copy ninja looked at him. These brats are gonna get a first-hand experience in what it means to be a real ninja, and I think your partner will be the perfect guinea pig for this, he said as the Mizu Bunshin made its way towards Kurenai, who was having trouble keeping her injury from bleeding out. No. Sensei! Hinata cried out and was about to run to help her but was stopped by Kiba. Hinata, are you nuts? He asked, struggling to keep the Hyuga from doing an act that would result in her death. Let me go! Kurenai-sensei needs our help, she protested. Damn it, Hinata, if you run out there blindly, that water clone will kill you. We don't stand a chance against that monster, the Inuzuka replied. Said Water Clone scoffed, and raised his blade in the air. Ah, that's so cute it makes me want to cry. Not time to die. He cackled out, and brought his blade down on Kurenai, who closed her eyes waiting for the inevitable. Sensei, Hinata cried out as she said the blade that represented death descend on the crimson-eyed Kunoichi. Clang! Instead of hearing the sound of a blade cutting through flesh, the sound of metal clashing against metal was heard. The group as well as Zabuza and his clone's eyes widened as they saw a figure wearing a black cloak with a hood covering his face was blocking the Mizu Bunshin's Zanbatsu with what appeared to be an Okatana-class single-edged blade. That had a hexagonal silver cross guard, a silver blade with no form of damage on it whatsoever, and the hilt that was black with white diamond-shaped patterns going down it. Picture Sephiroth's Masamune, but in the form of an Okatana. Kurenai opened her eyes to see a cloaked figure standing in between her and the Mizu Bunshin, and to everyone's shock he was holding Zabuza's clone off with just one arm, and didn't even seem to be struggling. "Who are you? One of Konoha's ANBU?" The clone asked the cloaked figure and looked a little unnerved due to the fact that he was gazing into a pair of electric blue eyes that had slit pupils that were as cold as ice. Said figure said nothing and with a simple flick of his wrist, pushed the clone back and suddenly swings his blade down diagonally while the clone remains wide-eyed for a while before dissipating into a burst of water. The cloaked figure then turns his gaze towards Kurenai, who looked nervous at his gaze but then sees that this newcomer's eyes were looking at her calmly, and holds his left hand out which started to glow light green. "Cure," he said in a quiet tone, and Kurenai's injured shoulder instantly closed up and the bleeding stopped. "Then now wait here while I go free your comrade," he said, and turns his attention towards Zabuza, who started to growl. "I don't know who you are, but since you're interfering in my mission to kill the old man, consider yourself fish bait brat," he said while the cloaked figure said nothing and walked towards the demon of the mist on the water's surface calmly with Masamune drawn. Said swordsman did a ram seal which created a dozen Mizu Bushin who appeared in every direction of the cloaked figures with their blades poised in different directions, keeping him from escaping. "Kill him!" Zabuza snarled. "Dispel," said cloaked figure said, and suddenly the clones dispersed back into water, making Zabuza's and everyone else's eyes bug out when they saw this, and then said swordsman's water prison dispersed, freeing Kakashi, who managed to leap away and cough out the water that was in his lungs and inhale some air. "Whoa, did you see that? He just said one simple word and cancelled the jutsu out," Kiba stated while Hinata and Shino helped their sensei back near the group. Hinata used her Byakugan to see who exactly was underneath that cloak, and her eyes widened in disbelief. I can't tell who's under that cloak," she said silently, which made their eyes widen. "Say what?" Kiba asked. "I can't see anything, not even his chakra network," she finished, which made the other genins and Kurenai's eyes widen even further. "But that's impossible, isn't it, Kurenai-sensei?" Sakura asked the Genjutsu mistress. "In a way, yes, unless he possesses a bloodline that makes him immune to the abilities of a dojutsu," she stated, which made them even more curious. Meanwhile, Zabuza was growling at the mysterious figure who remained silent. "How in the world did he dispel my clones and water jutsu like that? He didn't even use any chakra. Does he have a rare bloodline that's transcendent like the Rinnegan? I have to admit that was a pretty interesting move you pulled, but don't let it get to your head because now you're facing the real thing, so you better be ready to paint the water red with your blood," he said, grinning under his mask while the cloaked figure remained silent. Kakashi stood back up and was about to pull his headband up to reveal his Sharingan eye. "Kakashi Hatake," the cloaked figure said, making the man stop. "Your mission is to protect the bridge builder, correct?" he asked the man, who looked at the cloaked figure suspiciously and nodded. "Then you should return to your genin and keep an eye out for any other ninja that might attack them or your client," he said, and the man frowned and was about to speak up. "If you're concerned about me facing Zabuza, then don't be. I am more than capable of dealing with this fool myself, and you would just get in the way now. Please stand aside because I don't want you to get caught in the crossfire." When Kakashi looked into his eyes, they practically radiated with power, and it made the man a little edgy. He was literally power incarnate. "Very well," he said, and shuns away and appears next to the others. "Kakashi-sensei, who is that?" Takara asks her surrogate older brother. "I don't know, but whoever it is, he's strong. Stronger than me or Zabuza," he stated, which made the other genin's eyes widen in surprise and disbelief. "Kakashi-sensei is right," Shino spoke up for the very first time. This newcomer is dangerous and my bugs are telling me that we should steer clear of him, or we'll be destroyed if we get caught in the crossfire that's about to occur," Shino stated, which made their eyes widen even more. "Shino's right. I can feel his power from here and it's amazing yet scary, but something tells me that Zabuza won't be winning this fight," Suzuki stated, since her mother taught her how to sense the chakra levels of her opponents, and right now this cloaked figure had her on edge. "I just hope he doesn't decide to come after us, otherwise we are, how you say, screwed," Shino emphasized. Meanwhile, Zabuza was glaring at the newcomer and releasing killer intent in order to intimidate him, but said cloaked figure just closes his eyes for a brief second and then they snap open, releasing a burst of Ki on a surprised Zabuza. "What the hell? His Ki rivals Akage-level ninjas," he thought as a bead of sweat fell from his brow while the cloaked figure lessens the pressure and smirks. "Your little intimidation act won't affect me, demon of the mist, and as for painting the water red with my blood, I'd like to see you try," he said, and instantly ascended towards Zabuza with Masamune drawn back with surprising speed that shocked Zabuza Mamichi. Zabuza barely had enough time to pull Kubikiri Hocho out as the mysterious ninja swung his blade at the man. When their blades clashed, a small shock wave was released from the impact that made the water underneath them ripple out violently and create small waves. Zabuza grunted as he tried to push his blade forward with both hands on the hilt, but his opponent wasn't even struggling and was merely using one arm. "Don't look so surprised, Momochi-san. I may be young, but I'm no pushover," the cloaked figure said with a grin on his face. "You better stop holding back or I will not hesitate to take you or your hiding assistant down," he said, which made the man's eyes widen. "Surprised? I can sense her not far from here and is waiting for the opportunity to get you out of harm's way should you get into a bad situation, which you will," he said as they broke the stalemate and flew back in separate directions. The cloaked figure landed gently on the water while Zabuza went through a series of hand seals and stopped at the bird's sign. "Since you're so smug, let's see how you like this. Suetun, Suryudan no Jutsu, Water Style, Water Dragon Bullet." The water started to shift and rise from the lake and form into a water dragon with yellow eyes, and said creature roared and ascended towards the cloaked figure. The cloaked figure held his left hand up. "Waterga," he said, and large strands of water rose and swirled around him until it morphed into a drilling water cyclone that heads towards the dragon and drills through it, surprising Zabuza since the technique was his strongest. "Damn it! Suetun, Suijin Hiki, Water Release, Water Wall." A large wall of water rose in front of Zabuza and managed to block the technique. When the techniques dissipate, Zabuza realizes that the cloaked figure is gone. He looks around and was on his guard. Senses something behind him and pulls his blade off his back. "Aha! Gotcha!" he said as he swung his blade diagonally only to hit nothing behind him. "What the ACK?" he cried out due to the fact that a blade protruded out of the middle of his chest. "No! I got you," the cloaked figure said while Zabuza chuckles and then disperses into water, and the real Zabuza appeared behind the cloaked figure with Kubikiri Hocho raised. "Wrong! Your history!" Zabuza cried out and swung down and sliced the cloaked figure in half while the man grinned like a maniac, but that grin turned into a frown when the cloak fell and revealed no one. The figure he killed once again landed behind him. "Well, that was close. You killed my cloak," the figure said, and Zabuza slowly turned around, but his eyes widened in disbelief. The other ninja and the bridge builder's eyes bugged out in disbelief. "S-sensei," Kakashi said quietly. What's my dad doing here?" Takara asked in disbelief. What they all saw before them was what appeared to be a 15-year-old teenage version of the Yondaime Hokage. The figure was 5 feet 8 inches and had shoulder-length silver blonde hair with jaw-length bangs on the sides and seemed to have silver highlights in them. His eyes were an electric blue color with a hint of green around the pupil. He was wearing what appeared to be a black and silver-white organic form-fitting bodysuit, similar to Rika's dark mode and Vegeta's black and white organic bodysuit. The suit has a silver-white color on the chest and part of the torso with what appeared to be the Kingdom Hearts emblem on the chest. The black fades to silver-white around the bicep and forearm and comes with white that are tucked under the suit. It has silver-white feet and shins that fade into black legs. It has a silver-white belt and a cloth around his waist, opening in the front. The cloth is an off-white color that fades into black and is ripped all around at the bottom, and from the looks of it his body he has a muscular build that gave him both speed and strength. He was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Zabuza took a step back as he saw who appeared to be the first man in history to ever gain a SS class status in the bingo book and flee on sight order. "Why yondame?" he asked while said blonde grinned and twirled Masamune in his hand. "Sorry, you must be mistaking me for someone else, Zabuza-san. I may look like him, but do you see a Konoha headband on my head?" he asked with humor in his voice, which made the man snap out of his stupor. "Well, that's relief. I honestly thought you were the Kiroi Senkyu, Yellow Flash, for a second there," he stated. "Maybe, but you could say that I'm related to him in a sense. I am after all a Namikaze by blood," Naruto stated, which made the man's eyes bug out, and the same with the other ninja, especially Kakashi and Takara. "You're bluffing. Aside from the redhead, Minato, Namikaze doesn't have any other living relatives," Zabuza yelled while Naruto chuckles. "Believe what you want, because frankly I don't care. Now then, I believe we have a fight to finish," he said, and started to do a series of one-handed seals at Kage level speeds, shocking everyone until he stopped at a ram seal and inhaled oxygen into his lungs. "Katon, Daimonji, fire release, fire blast." Naruto suddenly unleashes a stream of white fire from his mouth that forms into a fire kanji and heads towards Zabuza at high speeds. Zabuza curses and does another hand seal, making an even larger wall of water appear in front of him, but when the fire attack made contact, an explosion occurred which shook the area. Zabuza was seen skidding across the water, but he flips back on his feet, and then creates a dozen water clones that suddenly dash into the mist, and he panted as he got up. "This is insane," he said, and looked at the scorch marks on his arms and right leg and grunts in pain when it throbs. "Shit, my leg is burned badly even though I blocked that attack. The heat from it scorched me badly," he commented, and heard the sound of blades clashing for a while until he heard the sound of a blade cutting through flesh and water dispersing until the final clone was cut down and Naruto's shadowy figure walked slowly towards Zabuza. With a wave of his hand, a breeze swept the mist away and stared at Zabuza with his icy blue eyes. Water starts to swirls around his feet and shifts in several directions, as if it's trying to form into something, and places his hands in a snake seal. "Suetun, Kyosei Riviasan, water release, great Leviathan." The water starts to form into something large and rises into the air and morphs into what looks like a Leviathan with red glowing eyes and stares at a stunned Zabuza. The Konoha Nin and Tazuna stare at the water creature with awe. The Leviathan roars and suddenly ascends towards Zabuza at speeds that should be impossible for a jutsu of that size to do. Zabuza does the only thing he can: braces for impact. The water creature's maw was opened wide, and it swallows him whole and crashes into the water, which creates a tidal wave that makes the water in the lake rises and sweeps across the land. Zabuza could be heard screaming as he crashes through the forest, while the water swept across the forest until it started to die down, and the man could be seen sprawled against the tree. That was when 5 light blue ethereal swords that look like Masamune ascend towards him and impale him in the non-vital areas of his body, and Zabuza cries out in agony. That was when Naruto appeared to be levitating in the air and landed softly on the ground and approached the weakened man. Zabuza coughed a couple of times and looked at Naruto. What are you?" he asked the blonde swordsman who had Masamune in his grasp. "Who am I, you ask? I'm the light that protects the weak. I'm the darkness that destroys my enemies. I am Naruto Namikaze, the Hakumai Shinobi, Twilight Shinobi," he said, and raised his blade into the air. "And you, demon of the mist, are history," he said, and was about to bring his blade down and slice the man in half, but suddenly the man's body jerked away twice and collapsed on the ground, laying there motionless. Naruto stopped and looked up to see a female wearing a Kiri Oinen outfit and a mask with slanted eye coverings and red curved markings with the Kiri symbol on it. "Sorry about that. I've been tracking this man down for a while, but I wanted to wait until he was weakened to take him down, and thanks to you I've accomplished that," she said in a feminine voice while the others entered the scene and saw the hunter Nin. "Who the heck is that?" Kiba asked, only to get bopped on the head by Takara. "You idiot, she's an Oinen. They specialize in hunting down missing Nin that leave their village," the redhead stated while the Inuzuka rubbed his head in pain. She is correct, the Oinin said and appears before Zabuza's motionless body. Now I must take the body and prevent the secrets that are contained within it from being learned, she said. Is that so? Well then shouldn't you be destroying the body on the spot and taking his head and sword back, Oinin? Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes and making the Oinin freeze up for a second, and saw Naruto tighten his grip on the blade, but then she vanished in a swirl of mist and leaves while Naruto scoffs and Masamune glows white and vanishes into light particles. That was when a pool of aura that was a mix of light and darkness formed under his feet, and then he was engulfed by the energy for a few seconds until it died down. Naruto was now wearing an open silver-white long-sleeved denim jacket that had several pockets, and stopped to his waist with the edges of the sleeves seemed to have black around them. Under the jacket he wore a black shirt that had the kanji Twilight on the front in white, and around his neck was a silver chain that appeared to have the Kingdom Hearts emblem connected to it. He also wore a pair of silver-white pants with black around the edges of the pants that had a couple of pockets on them, and wore a black belt that seemed to have several small scrolls attached to them, and he also wore a pair of black, silver, and white shoes, the one Ventus wears but their normal size like Riku's, and wore a pair of black fingerless gloves with metal iron plating on them, with one having the Kingdom Hearts symbol on the left and the Twilight kanji on the right glove. Naruto then turned around to see the Konoha ninja just gawk at him, while he blinked a few times at them until he smiles and wave. Yo! Was all he said with a lady killer grin that made the females in the group flush, yes, people including Kurenai. Kakashi decided to speak up while rubbing the back of his head. Thanks for helping us back there, we really appreciate it, he said while the blonde shrugs. You're welcome. I was in the area and when I saw the fight not in your favor I decided to jump in and lend a helping hand, he said and looked at Kurenai. So how is the shoulder? He asked the red-eyed beauty. It's better thanks to you. By the way, what type of justa was that? All you said was cure and it healed up instantly? She asked while the rest of the group got interested and wanted to know how he did those techniques. Naruto blinks and rubs the back of his head as the group stared at him. Oh, that well, it's a part of my bloodline, he answered, which made Kakashi raise an eyebrow. But you said you were a Namikaze, he stated. Yes, I did and I am, but before I explain it, wouldn't it be smart to get your client back to his house? Naruto asked while Kakashi smiled sheepishly. Oh yeah, well, would you like to join us? Naruto, was it? Kakashi asked and the blonde nodded, which made Kiba snicker. Your parents named you after a ramen topping? He said to himself, only to get bopped on the head by an annoyed Takara and Suzuki. Actually, my name is written the same way Maelstrom is in kanji Ritori Koinu, little puppy, Naruto remarked, which made Hinata, Takara, Sakura, and Suzuki snicker while Shino coughed lightly to keep from laughing. Kiba, on the other hand, had a tick mark on his head and growled at being called a little puppy, and tried to lung at Naruto only for Kakashi to hold him back by the back his collar. Akamaru's sweat dropped at how his master was acting. Now Kiba, it wouldn't be wise to attack someone out of anger, especially if that someone could take down a guy like Zabuza without even trying, Kakashi stated while the Inuzuka calmed down and just glared at the blonde who had his hands in his pockets. Anyways, hey old man, how far is your house from here? Naruto asked Tazuna. Disrespectful Gakis. It's only 3 miles from here, why? He said and saw Naruto close his eye for a second and a white aura outline surrounded his body until it faded away and he opened his eyes once again. Now reason, I know where your house is, so I'll just send you there without you having to walk, he said and snaps his fingers, which confused them until a large black portal formed under them, and they all cried out as they fell into the abyss while Naruto snickers and jumps in as well as the portal closes behind them. Tazuna's house. The portal opened up in the sky and the Konoha Nin and Tazuna fell out of the portal and into a pile on the ground groaning. Oh Kami, my lumbago! Tazuna cried out in pain. Sukuzi, get you butt off my head, Takara said to the female Uchiha. Naruto was the last one to exit and landed softly on the ground. Well, we're here, he said as the 3 girls and Kiba stood up and glared at Naruto while Shino fixed his coat. Kakashi helped Kurenai and Tazuna up and looked back at Naruto. Next time warn us before you do that, cause falling into a black hole isn't my idea of fun. The copy nin stated while Naruto raised an eyebrow. Didn't know the son of the Shiroi no Kiba, White Fang, was afraid of the dark. He replied, which made the man's eye widen a little. What? You both look the same minus the headband covering your Sharingan eye, since no one in the village has gravity-defying silver hair like you or your pops, the blonde said. Good point. Well then, shall we? Kakashi said as he and Tazuna were about to enter the door until the same black portal opened up as the man entered and closed behind him. Kurenai was about to ask Naruto why he did that until the same portal opened behind them and Kakashi and Tazuna exited out of it once more and blinks in confusion, while the others pointed at Naruto. Dudes, where are your manners? You should always let a lady or ladies enter first, Naruto said, which made the two sweat drop and the females grinned. Glad to see there are some gentlemen left out there in the world. Thank you, Naruto, Kurenai said, while the young Namikaze had a huge grin on his face while the girls entered the house, as did the males. Tsunami-chan, I'm back, Tazuna called out in the house. That was when a woman in her mid-20s with long raven hair entered the living room. She appeared to be 5 feet 4 inches with fair smooth skin, obsidian eyes, and wore a pink short-sleeved t-shirt with a long blue skirt that stopped to her ankles and hugged her body. "Two-sen, you're back," Tsunami said as she went to hug the man who returned. "Yep, I sure am, thanks to the ninja I hired and the blonde Gaki over there," he said, which caused Naruto to have a tick mark on his head. "I have a name, you old drunk. It's Naruto, not blonde Gaki," Naruto stated as his brow twitched. Tsunami saw them and smiles. "Thank you all for helping my father," she said, bowing to the ninja. "You're welcome, Tsunami-san," Kurenai replied. "Hey Gigi, you home?" a young voice called out, and they all saw a boy wearing black overalls with a green hat and black sandals. Tazuna saw his grandson and grinned. "Inari, come here and give your dear old grandpa a hug," the man said, and he did and saw the Konoha ninja. "These are the guys who brought me home safely, and you should have seen the super awesome blonde kid take on this one ninja that almost had us. It was incredible," he said, which made the Konoha nin's sweat drop when they heard him say super. Inari looked at the blonde kid and blinked a few times. "Really? He doesn't look like much," the young boy stated while Naruto chuckles at this. "Well, kid looks can be deceiving. I am a ninja after all, even though I'm not tied to any village," he stated while made Inari blinked. "Really? Then prove it," Inari challenged while Naruto shrugs. "Sure." Naruto does a series of hand seals but the stops and holds his palm out. That was when water swirled around the palm of his hand and morphed into a water orb until ice started to cover it, making it into an ice orb. Everyone's eyes widened in amazement when they saw what Naruto did. "Is this enough proof for you?" Naruto asked while the ice ball started to crack and then exploded into ice but then reverted back into water and back into moisture in the air. A few minutes later, after everyone got settled in, Naruto was sitting on a tree branch with his back leaning against the tree and his hands behind his head with a saban in his mouth until he heard Takara call out his name. "Hey Naruto!" she called out, and the blonde opened one of his eyes and looked down to see the red head waving at him. Naruto suddenly blurs away and appears in front of her, surprising the redhead. "Wow, that was fast," she stated. "What's up, Takara-chan?" he asked, and she blushed a little at the suffix he used, and rubs the back of her head. "Not much. Kakashi and I-san wanted to see if it was possible for you to join us for our training since that Zabuza guy is still alive," she asked. "Sure, why not?" he said, and placed a hand on her shoulder, and then they disappeared in a flash of white light. The Forest of Chakra. Team 7 and Team 8 were in the forest waiting on Takara and Naruto until a flash of white appeared before them, and they were shocked when they saw Naruto and a bewildered Takara. "That looked similar to Sensei's Hiraishin, only it was white," Kakashi thought, but snapped out of his stupor. "Glad you could join us, Naruto. We were about to train for when Zabuza and his helpers show up again," he said. "Well, that's good and all, but who's gonna be looking after the old man?" Naruto asked while Kakashi smiled. "Oh, I created a few Tsuchi Bunshin, Earth clones, and Kage Bunshin, Shadow clones, to watch the bridge builder," he answered. "So what exactly are you gonna teach them aside from chakra control?" Naruto asked, which made the two Jonin's eyes widen. Matter of fact, did you two happen to have taught them any of the chakra control exercises? He asked and got nods from them. So which ones do they know so far? Kakashi thought about it and spoke up. Tree climbing and water walking, he answered. I see. So have you taught them how to dodge projectiles such as long-range jutsu and weapons yet? He asked, and they shook their heads, unaware of the gleam in his eyes. Well, then there's a lake nearby that we can use, and I'll personally help them with the exercise, he said with a grin on his face, but the two sweat dropped when they thought they saw the form of the Shinigami with the kanji for torture hovering over Naruto. Kakashi, Kurenai said, getting the man's attention. Yeah? He asked. Is it me, or am I seeing the Shinigami hover over Naruto and stare at our student with hunger in his eyes? She asked the copy ninja, who now had a sweat drop on the back of his head. No, I'm seeing it too, he said as the sweat drop grew bigger when he saw the Shinigami pull out a dagger and lick it hungrily. We just condemned them to the fate worse than death, he commented. But then I smiled. Oh, well, better them than us, he said nonchalantly, which made the woman stumble a little and look at the man in shock. Suzuki, on the other hand, saw the look on their faces and raised an eyebrow. Hey, Takara-chan, said Redhead, looked at her best friend. Yeah? Takara asked. Why is your Aniki and Kurenai-sensei looking at us with pity in their eyes? The female Uchiha asked, but then turned her gaze at Naruto, who was grinning at Team 7 and 8, but for some reason she felt a shiver go down her spine. Never mind, I think he's the reason why, she said in shudders. Kakashi and Kurenai didn't know whether to be impressed or scared due to the fact that Naruto was launching lightning bolts and fireballs at the genin he was training on top of the lake, who were desperately dodging the attacks, as well as the kunai and shuriken the Naruto clones were chucking while they used their chakra to keep balance on top of the water, and by the huge sweat drops on the back of their heads the blonde was enjoying seeing their students evade attacks like their lives depended on it. Kakashi, don't you think we should stop this? Kurenai asked the silver-haired man, who saw a fireball hit Kiba in his posterior and made the Inuzuka howl in pain. My butt's on fire! He screamed out while running around on top of the water trying to put the fire out. Akamaru got zapped by a thunderbolt and yelped out as he was electrocuted, and his fur stood on the ends while static coursed through his fur. You're kidding, right? Kakashi asked the red-eyed Kunoichi. Sensei save us! Sakura cried out, but then eeks and leaned backwards, barely avoiding a large fireball that whizzed past her face and hit a tree that burst into flames. Said pink-haired Kunoichi looked at the burning tree and had a horrified look on her face. You baka, are you trying to kill me? She screamed while shaking her fist at the grinning blonde, who created another fireball made the girl turn whiter than a sheet of paper, but instead of launching it, this one fired miniature fireballs at her feet, which made the girl bounce around yelping. That's right, my little ballerina, dance for me, he said, cackling like a madman while the Jonin's sweat drops grew even larger. Sensei and Kushina Niki are gonna kill me if Takara comes back home scorched and bruised, he said while covering his face with his hand. While this was happening, Takara and Suzuki were sweating bullets as they saw their friends and teammates being tortured. He's crazy, Suzuki said while Takara nodded her head. I say we run while he's not looking, Takara said. Oh, really? Their blood froze as they heard the familiar voice behind them and saw Naruto looking down at them with an evil gleam in his eye. And just where do you two think you're going? He asked in a kind yet dangerous voice while smiling. Takara and Suzuki, on the other hand, were sweating even more bullets and praying to Kami to save them from this psychopath. Now if I were you two, I'd run, he suggested as his hand cackled with electricity, making them pale even more. I want my mommy, Takara whimpered. In Konoha, Kushina was talking with Sum and Yoshino at a cafe, and the redhead sneezed. Kushina-chan, you're not coming down with a cold now, are you? Yoshino asked. No, I think someone's talking about me. It must either be Minato-kun or Takara-chan's in danger, she said nonchalantly while the two sweat dropped. While Kushina, just wow, Sum replied. What? Takara is a big girl, the redhead answered. Back in Wave Tazuna's house. The genin were sitting on the couch groaning in pain due to the training Naruto had them do. Kakashi was leaning against the wall with his book in his hand while Kurenai was helping Hinata treat Akamaru's injuries. Naruto, on the other hand, was sitting back on a chair with an amused look on his face. "Oh, come on, no guys, my training wasn't that bad now, was it?" he asked innocently, only beyond the receiving ends of their glares, especially Kiba. "I'm guessing by the looks on your faces that it was? Oh well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger," he said nonchalantly, which caused Kiba, Sakura, Takara, and Suzuki to have tick marks on the back of their heads and wanted to throttle the blonde. Kakashi closed his book and looked directly at Naruto. "So Naruto, you told us that you said you were a Namikaze, right?" he asked, and the blonde nodded. "But you also said that you possessed a bloodline." "Yes, I did, and I do," Naruto stated while Kakashi looked skeptic. "Well, do you think you can explain to us what this bloodline of yours is?" he asked Naruto, who blinked for a while and shrugs. "Well, if you must know, I possess a chakra-based, body-based, and eye-based bloodline," he stated, which made their eyes widen. "But that's impossible for any human to possess two bloodlines, and even if it's possible, it's extremely rare," Kurenai stated. "Yes, you are correct. It is highly impossible for any human to have more than two bloodlines unless they have a rare genetic trait or blood type, but whether you believe me or not, I possess 3 bloodlines and they can be passed on since it's hereditary, unlike most bloodlines like the Shodame's Mokuton Kekkei Genkai, for example," Naruto explained. "So you mean to tell us you have the ability to use a sub-element like the Shodame could?" Kakashi asked, and Naruto smirks. "Yep. Matter of fact, I can manipulate practically all of the main elements and sub-elements at will, including not just the chakra-based elements, but the very elements that make up the planet. I can even manipulate rare elements like light, darkness, and twilight," he answered, which caused their eyes to bug out and look at him like he was crazy, which made Naruto raise an eyebrow. "What? I'm serious," he said, and they still looked at him in disbelief. "Is it really that unbelievable?" he asked, and his answer was them nodding, and he sighs and rubs the back of his head. "Figures. Well then, watch this," he said, and twirls his index finger around a couple of times, only for what appeared to be a black cloud form over his index finger and have yellow electricity surge around it. Everyone's eyes widen when they see a small thunder cloud hover above Naruto and grows until it's the size of a small dog. "This is my form of Eraton, storm release, with the difference being that instead of water and lightning, it's wind, water, and lightning," he explained as they stared at the black cloud. Kiba, on the other hand, snorts. "If you ask me, it looks puny," he stated, which caused Naruto to smirk and have a gleam in his eye, which caused Takara and Suzuki to move away from Kiba, who blinks in confusion. "Hey, why did you two move away?" he cried out, because he got zapped by a bolt of yellow lightning and fell off the couch, sizzling and twitching with his hair sticking out and static coursing through his body. Suzuki and Takara crouched down and wondered if Kiba was still alive. "Oh, don't worry, he'll live, but he will be twitchy for a while," he stated, while Takara poked him with her finger only to pull it back and yelp due to the fact that she was zapped by some static. "Careful. That may be static, but it packs a wallop," Naruto warned, while Kakashi's sweat dropped. "Are you sure he's still alive?" Kakashi asked. "Positive. I mean, I didn't put enough energy into that sub-element to kill him," he informed the copy Nin, who still looked skeptic but nodded. "Okay, now aside from being able to manipulate the natural elements and sub-elements, what else can you do?" Kakashi asked, and Naruto smirked. "Sorry, buddy, but the rest of my bloodline is a clan secret. After all, I can't tell you all my secrets now, can I?" Naruto asked humorously, and the man shrugs. "Fair enough, but do you think you can heal Kiba up?" he asked. Naruto got up, walked over to Kiba, and held his palm out. "Kura!" Kiba's body glowed green, and the next thing they knew that the Inuzuka was fully healed. "There. He should be up in a little bit," he said, and saw Kiba woke up. "Just like when he healed Kurenai, that healing technique didn't have any chakra in it," Kakashi thought. That was when Tazuna waked into the house and let out a frustrating sigh. "Rough day, Tazuna-san?" Kakashi asked the man, who nodded and slumped down on the couch. "Sadly, yes. 3 of my workers just quit because of their fear of what Gato will do to them or their family," he said and clenched his fists. Damn it, if this keeps up, I'll never get the bridge done. The door opens and Tsunami enters with her son Inari, and had a crestfallen look on her face. I've already been to 6 grocery stores today, and I could barely get anything for dinner tonight at a fair price since most of them barely had any food, she replied and sighed sadly, and Tazuna slammed his fist on the table. Damn that Gato. At this rate our country will be nothing but a barren wasteland in less than a month, he growled out, gritting his teeth in anger, and wondering why they were fated to live this hellish life. Naruto remained silent for a while after hearing this, but then spoke up. Well, it's a good thing I came around when I did, Tazuna-san, he said, which made the bridge builder and the others look at the blonde. And why is that? Tazuna asked Naruto, whose gaze was colder than ice. Because I plan on killing Gato and his little army, he answered coldly, which made everyone in the room shiver a little at how he talked until Inari spoke up. And what makes you think you can beat Gato? The young boy asked. Simple, kid. The only thing protecting Gato is his money and his thugs. Take that away and he'll be nothing. Guys like Gato are cowards, and I intend to personally deal with that insect and anyone protecting him. Well, they'll be joining him in the afterlife, he answered. Anyways, I think I got the solution to your dinner issue, Tsunami-san. A twisted ripple appears in front of Naruto, and a large scroll falls out of the wormhole and lands beside the blonde, which caused Kakashi and Kurenai's eyes to widen in shock. Sweet Kami, that was a Jikuken ninjutsu. It was more versatile than Minato-sensei's or the Night Aims, and he didn't even use any hand seals or jutsu formulas, he thought. That was so cool, Takara said, with the other genin nodding in agreement. Naruto, on the other hand, picks up the scroll and takes it over to the kitchen floor and sets it down. After that, he unravels it until it covered up half of the floor, and then a puff of smoke appears, and when it clears, a large pile of food varieties appeared, and Tsunami's as well as Tazuna's eyes bug out in disbelief, as did Inari's. There, I think this should solve our food problem, he stated with a grin on his face. This is unreal. This food will last us for 2 whole months, Tsunami stated. Naruto-kun, I don't know what to say, said Blonde, just rubbed the back of his head. Oh, it's nothing, Tsunami-san. The least I can do is help you guys out until this issue with Gato is over. That, and I had a lot of Kage Bunshins take the same scrolls all around the village, he said, and thought. Well, then we should get this food in storage so that it doesn't spoil. After dinner, Naruto was currently standing on the rooftop gazing at the full moon with his hands in his pockets. You know, Yuhi-sen, if you're gonna spy on me, at least do it somewhere where I can't sense your genjutsu, he said as a small smile plastered on his face, and that was when part of the rooftop thus slowly rose and formed into the Crimson Eyes Jonin, who had the decency to look sheepish. Sorry, I didn't think my illusion would be so obvious, she apologized, while Naruto chuckles and shrugs it off. No need to be so embarrassed. It happens to the best of us. So what brings you out here this late at night? He asked the genjutsu mistress who was beside him and looks up at the full moon. I'm not tired at the moment, and thought you could use some company, she said, while a small grin formed on the blonde's face. Are you sure it's not because you find me attractive, Kurenai-chan? He teased, which made her face heat up a little, and the blonde laughed, and said, Kunoichi huffs up. You do realize that I'm a couple years older than you, right? Besides, I never took you as the type to be into older women, she said humorously, while the blonde raised an eyebrow. Really? So that would mean you're in your early 20s. Big deal, plus I've had my fair share of kills when I traveled, and yeah, I do find older women interesting, he said cheekily. Oh, and why is that? She asked suspiciously. Well, for one thing, you're more mature and experienced than the females my age, and you take your career seriously. Another thing is that you're drop-dead gorgeous, he complimented, which made her eyes widen a little. It was a good thing I stopped that clone from killing you, otherwise I would have hated myself for letting a pretty lady like you get chopped up. His response made her chuckle. Quite the charmer, aren't you? She asked with humor in his voice, and he simply shrugs his shoulders. What can I say? I'm gifted, he replied, which made her giggle, and he grinned. See, I made you giggle, he teased, and she responded by lightly punching him in the shoulder. All right, Romeo, you can knock it off, the Ice Queen of Konoha remarked. Okay, no need to hit me now. Hey, wanna see a trick? He asked, which made her raise an eyebrow. Sure. She asked and watched him reach into his pocket and pull out what looked like a black rock. Okay, now watch as I turn this rock into a diamond, he said, and cups his hand around the rock and rubs them together for a few seconds, and then holds his closed fist in front of her. Kurenai blinks in confusion until he opened his hand up, revealing a shiny diamond which made her eyes widen in awe. And that's not all. He placed his other hand over it, and when they part, the diamond was now formed into a miniature version of Kurenai, but in diamond form, who had her hand on her hip, and the other appeared to be brushing her hair back. Said Kunoichi's eyes grew even wider and was gobsmacked when it hovered over to her. Go ahead, take it, he offered, which made her snap out of her stupor and place the floating object in her hands and look at it for a while. Thanks, Naruto, she started to say as she looked up only to see the blonde was gone. She looked around, blinking a couple of times. Where did he go? She asked herself and looked back at the diamond version. Said blonde was now standing in front of the shores, watching the waves roll across the sand with the wind blowing through his hair. That was when a white portal opened up, and walking out of it was a female who was 5 feet 4 inches with waist-length ruby red hair, and ruby red eyes with slit-like pupils. She had fair skin and was wearing a black and red, high-collared halter top, 2 dark red, intersecting belts over her chest, and black shorts, and wears an odd silver badge. On her arms are black bell sleeves with red on the edges and red, fingerless gloves. She also wears a small, segmented piece of armor on each of her upper arms, and what appear to be black stockings or socks on her legs, which reach to about halfway up her thighs, leaving a small area of bare skin on her upper thighs. She also bears 2 strips of red cloth that drape over either side of her hips, along with a smaller, black strip of cloth tied around her waist, draped in the same manner. Finally, she wears a pair of red sandals with red nail polish on her toenails as well as her fingernails. All in all, she was the epitome of beauty. She wears an outfit similar to Aqua's, and also had red fox ears with black tips at the end and 9 red swishing tails. She silently walked behind the blonde Namikaze, and when she was close enough, she leans over and wraps her arms around her neck and presses the side of her face against his. The moon is beautiful tonight, isn't it, Naruto-kun? The redhead asked and got a smile from the blonde. Kiomi-chan, I thought you were gonna stay in the castle until I went to Konoha, he stated to the 9-tailed vixen. But I missed you, Naruto-kun, she pouted. Besides, the only thing I had keeping me company at the kingdom were those Twilight Knights and my kin, and trust me when I say having them suck up to you is annoying. Naruto snickered at this and looked at the pout-like expression she had on her face. What's this? The queen of the Kitsune clan hates being treated like royalty? He asked humorously, and his answer was her nodding with the pout still on her face, which made him laugh and got out of her embrace and face her. Kami, you're hopeless, but that's what I love about you, he said, and pulled her into a hug and kisses her on the forehead, and with a snap of his fingers, a throne materialized with the Kingdom Hearts symbol materialized out of nowhere. Naruto then picked Kiomi up bridal style, which made her squeal in surprise, and sat down on the chair with her in his lap, and before she could say anything he gently stroked her behind her left ear, making her purr in content, and rest her head on his chest, while her tails swished around happily. So when can we go visit the other worlds and dimensions, Naruto-kun? She asked. Once we deal with this world and that Team Madara who ruined my life in my realm, he said in a calm yet icy tone, but then smiled down at her. Plus, we still haven't met any of the other Keyblade holders yet, and I'm thinking of making some allies in this alternate dimension. I see. So what have you been doing in Wave Country aside from flirting with that red-eyed Kunoichi? She asked in a sweet yet scary tone that made him laugh nervously. Oh, come on now, it was just innocent, he stated, getting a raised eyebrow and look amusement from her. Though the red eyes do make her look exotic. Kiomi rolled her eyes but smiled at him. And you call me hopeless, you lady killer, she remarked, which made the blonde blush. What can I say? I'm a charmer, and you, Miss Kitsune Queen, are a prime example of that, Naruto stated. Kiomi blushed at the statement, and pouted, which made him snicker. All teasing aside, I'll be dealing with Gato and his group soon, but I think I'll give Zabuza and his apprentice an opportunity to join us and become members of our kingdom. Kiomi nodded in agreement. That sounds like a good idea since you've been planning on getting candidates that'll become the new Knights of Twilight, and Zabuza fits that category, though it'll take a little convincing to get him to join. Then there's the bloodline issue with Kiri and searching for the other Jinchuriki," she explained. "Hey, and here I thought my life would get boring after completing my training with you and my reincarnate," Naruto said humorously. The next day, Takara was currently searching around the house for Naruto, and wondered where he ran off to. She saw Kurenai in a spare room looking at the diamond version of herself that Naruto made for her. "Hey Kurenai-sensei." She turned her head to see Takara. "Hey Takara-chan, what is it?" she asked the redhead who walked in the room. "By any chance have you seen Naruto-kun?" she asked, which got a raised eyebrow from the Genjutsu mistress. "Not since last night, why?" she asked Taka, who rubbed the back of her head nervously. "No reason. I just wanted to ask him about that trick he did with the water when he faced Zabuza." She then set her gaze on the diamond-carved version of the Genjutsu user. "Say, where did you get that made?" Kurenai saw Takara looking at the diamond statue and her face heated up. "Oh, this? It was a gift from a friend," she answered, and was inwardly cursing that she got caught up in gazing at the statue Naruto created. Takara, on the other hand, grinned. "Oh? Is it from a Sima?" she asked cheekily, only for Kurenai to scoff. "That cheap chain smoker? No, not from him, it's a late birthday gift I got from Anko." She lied again. Takara blinked a couple of times and nods. "Now why are you so concerned about Naruto-kun?" Her question caused the redhead to blush a little. "And no reason, I just wanted to learn that water technique from him is all. I swear it's not like I have a crush on him or anything," she stammered out, and found the wall to be interesting. Kurenai, on the other hand, chuckles. "To answer your question, I haven't seen him since last night," she answered, and saw the crestfallen look on Takara's face. "Someone looking for me?" asked a voice behind Takara, who shrieks and jumps away from the door only to see a blinking Naruto with his hands in his pockets. "Wow, somebody's jumpy," he commented, causing the redhead to glare at him. "That's not funny, and where the heck were you?" the female Namikaze asked, who raised a brow. "I met up with a friend who got bored and wanted to join me. She should be here." He was interrupted by a twister of fire that appeared beside Naruto, and when it dissipated, it revealed Kiomi, but she kept her ears and tails hidden. "Now," he finished. Kiomi saw Takara and Kurenai and grinned. "Hey, how's it going? I'm Kiomi Namikaze," she introduced, which made their eyes widened. "Another Namikaze?" Kurenai asked, and the vixen shook her head. "Not by blood. I'm his fiancée," she said, and draped an arm around Naruto, which made their eyes widen, especially when they saw a gold ring with multicolored diamonds around it. "Fiancé?" Takara asked, and for some reason felt saddened. "Yep, but he'll probably gain more in the future, and I don't mind sharing. If you ask me, it would be a lot more fun since he does have to revive a powerful clan," she answered, which caused Takara to be stumped, since she knew if a male with a bloodline was the last of his clan, he could get multiple wives, and from the looks of it, Naruto and Kiomi seemed happy with each other. Takara was about to speak up until Kiba, Suzuki, Sakura, Hinata, Shino, and Kakashi came running into the room. "Kurenai-sensei! We felt a chakra spike in the room," and the Inuzuka started to say, but then his mouth dropped when he saw Kiomi. "Hot damn, who's the hottie?" he asked with a grin on his face. "My name's Kiomi, and if you don't stop checking me out, I'm gonna zap you with a bolt of lightning," she threatened as a spark formed on her index finger, which made Kiba back off and run behind Shino, whose brow twitched. "And so that you know, I'm engaged to Naruto-kun here." To prove her point, she kissed Naruto on the cheek, which made their eyes bug out. "You're engaged?" a bewildered Sakura asked Kiomi, who nodded and showed them her ring. Kakashi, on the other hand, whistled at the ring. "That must have cost a pretty penny," he stated, and Naruto shrugged. "I know, but money's not an issue for me. I'm loaded," he replied, while she wrapped her arms around his neck, while Kiba muttered about Naruto being a lucky bastard for scoring a hot chick only to be elbowed in the ribs by Takara. "So I take it they're still going to train, right?" Naruto asked the Jonin, who nodded, and the others paled as they saw the smile form on his face. "If you think I'm gonna go through that training you had us do yesterday, Sakura growled out only for Naruto to cut her off. That? No, I won't have you go through that. I just did that to scare the hell out of you guys because I was bored. Naruto replied, causing them to face fault and Kakashi and Kurenai to sweat drop. No, I'm gonna have you guys do some real training by revealing your elemental affinities. He replied, which made them look confused until Suzuki spoke up. He's talking about what elemental affinities our chakra is aligned with. The female Uchiha answered while the blonde raised an eyebrow. Takara and I learned it from her parents. Suzuki explained, getting a nod from Takara. I see. So what affinities are you aligned with then, Suzuki-chan? Naruto asked. I'm affiliated with fire and lightning, she answered. 2 affinities? That's pretty impressive, and you, Takara-chan? Naruto asked the redhead. I gained wind from my 2-san and water and earth from my ka-san, and I seem to have a strong affinity for fire due to my condition, she quoted, and Naruto nodded. For affinities? You're full of surprises, huh? Naruto asked humorously while she grinned. Naruto reached into his coat and pulled out what seemed to be paper and held them out. Then I need the rest of you to each take one of these chakra papers and channel a little bit into the paper. If it's fire, it'll burn, water will make it soak, earth will turn into dust, lightning will crumble up, and wind will cut it in half, he instructed. So Sakura, Hinata, Shino, and Kiba each grabbed a paper and channel a little chakra in the paper. For Sakura, it turned to dust and burned. For Hinata, hers got soaked and crumbled. For Shino, it was earth and wind, and for Kiba his crumbled and split. Wow, you all have more than one affinity. That's pretty impressive, he stated. Now then, I think we should head out and get started on you all learning elemental jutsu, if it's alright with your teachers, of course. Kakashi and Kurenai looked at each other and nodded. Great, so you'll all start off with some low-rank jutsu, he said, pulling out some small scrolls and tossed them to Kakashi and Kurenai. Oh, and I'm gonna borrow Takara-chan and Suzuki-chan for a while, he stated, getting a raised brow from them. May I ask why? Kakashi asked Naruto. Well, they each have larger chakra reserves than the others do, so I'll have to teach them some higher rank jutsu that can cause a lot of damage and someone could get hurt. Kiomi-chan, do you mind assisting Kakashi-san and Kurenai-san with the others? Naruto asked his fiancée, who nodded. Sure, I don't mind so long as a certain Inuzuka keeps his eyes off my body, she replied, and Kiba gulped. Oh, I'm sure he'll behave with his sensei around. He then placed a hand on Takara and Suzuki's shoulder, and they vanished in a swirl of light and darkness, and Kiomi did the same with the others, taking them to a different place. Open field. Naruto, Takara, and Suzuki in an open field near a lake. Okay, we're here, so now what? Takara asked. Naruto remained quiet for a while and looked at Suzuki. Suzuki-chan, by any chance do you know of your best friend's condition? Naruto asked the female Uchiha, who nodded. Yes, I know that she holds the chakra and power of the QB. Why? She asked Naruto, who looked back at Takara. Takara, may I look at the seal? Naruto asked the redhead, whose eye widened and blushed lightly. I just want to take a look at it to see how it functions, that's all, he answered. She looked skeptic for a while, but the size. Fine, just don't try to tamper with it. It's very complex, she said, and grabbed the hem of her shirt with both hands and slowly lifts it up, revealing her toned stomach. A glow formed around her torso and a complex seal appeared. Naruto crouches down to get a good look at the seal. Interesting, this is a different version of the seal I used to have on me, and I don't sense the fox's soul residing in her, so either it was eaten by the Shinigami, or the Yondaime sealed the soul into a different dimension where it can't escape. Also, these seals seem to be converting its energy into her reserves, but at a slow pace. Give or take, in a few years she'll be capable of using its full power, he thought, and stood back up while she pulled her shirt down. Your dad's a damn genius, Naruto commented while she smiles. It's been a while since I've seen a seal as complex as that one. You seem to have an interest in seals, Suzuki stated, getting a grin from the blonde. How can I not? Both the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan were well known for their knowledge in the art, since very few know how the advanced seals work aside from a few. Plus, I happen to be highly skilled in the art since I made a few of my own, Naruto answered. Now then, let's get started on your elemental training, he instructed, getting a nod from them. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.